just talked to a couple of police officers who are walking around the neighborhood writing down people's license plates, and basically they were handing out these. It says, Savannah Police Department, clean car campaign, love it, like it, lock it. We noticed your vehicle is not as secure as it could be. So I spoke to someone earlier and they said, well, we've had a couple car break-ins, so we're just making sure that everyone knows that, you know, to lock up their vehicle and so on and so forth, which is kind of common sense anyways. I don't think we really need to be spending public funds going around telling people to lock up their car. That's kind of common sense, right? Well, then these two officers come over and I see them actually placing the things on the vehicle. Previous to that, I just spoke to them. I didn't see them actually doing it. And then I realized they were going around and collecting everyone's license plates. And so I said, hey, isn't that, I said, why are you guys writing down people's license plates? They go, oh, well, we just have to track which vehicles we've put the things on. And I said, isn't that a little Orwellian? Isn't that a little Big Brother? You're going around and writing down people's license plates and where they live? She goes, oh, no, well, we're just collecting data. I said, yeah, that's the creepy part. That's the creepy part. I said, how would you like it if someone came to your house and started writing down your license plate and where you live? And she said she was going to go get her supervisor. So here they come right now.
Oh, I'm good, I'm good.
Do you mind being on camera?
Not at all.
Okay.
My BWC on it.
Okay, cool.
No, we are so used to it.
Okay, cool. So I guess the part that kind of sketched me...
Nice to meet you. Corporal
Josh Flynn.
Yeah.
Josh, nice to meet you.
Yep.
So I guess the part that was a little creepy for me is that your officers are going down writing down people's license plates.
Sure.
And so they said, well, and obviously there's nothing illegal about that necessarily, except for when you guys were on the main road here, these are publicly funded roads, right? But actually these driveways here, these are private, this is private property here.
Oh,
so your officers are actually going on private property, writing down people's license plate numbers. And so I asked them, I said, don't you think that's a little Orwellian? Don't you think that's a little Big Brother? And she said, well, we're just collecting data. And I said, yeah, that's the creepy part, right? How would you feel if I came to your house, wrote down your license plate number and where you live, right? Wouldn't you find that a little bit creepy?
Writing down where anybody's addresses or names.
Well, she's literally writing it down on her cell phone, which has geolocation data on it.
Sure.
So
let me just kind of explain what we're trying to do. Is basically this is all just about public education. We're out reaching out to people. We've had break-ins in the area, and the idea is to basically just do a little public education. You know, we want to reach out to our citizens. So what part of educate? Well, first of all, locking your car is kind of common sense to begin with. I genuinely do appreciate you guys being out here. I'm not being facetious when I say that. And a lot of that too is just a little bit extra time to put,
and public safety is really important. I appreciate all that. I don't understand how mass collecting people's license plate numbers.
Well, that's not the purpose at all.
Helps do that.
So
is it that your superiors don't trust you guys to do your job, that they need you to like literally document each individual instance?
The premise behind the tags is that if a vehicle that we have come in contact with was locked or is unlocked or in a state where it could be at risk for being targeted for entering auto, we can have it documented that our contact with that vehicle prior to that incident showed that it was unlocked or that it had items in it or maybe a firearm or something that would make it a target for a future entering auto. So let's just say we come in contact with your car. We have your tag, we have the location and time because our cameras are rolling the whole time. We can say, okay, this car had shopping bags in the back, or it had a bag in it that may be luggage, that may have money, clothes, or something that could be valuable to someone passing through that's looking to break into a car. So our observation paired up with a future event can say, well, this car was seen to be at risk. But what we do on our end, after we see that car, we take our due diligence to try to contact the owner of the vehicle. And say, we can run that tag and say, hey, this car is unlocked. This car has something wrong with it. Can you come secure it so we don't have a crime take place here?
Just like we would do business checks
and that's
late
the whole
at night,
premise
making
of
sure
us
people
doing
locked
that.
they're locked up businesses, make sure that there's not an opportunity for a crime. We're just trying to reach out to our citizens, make sure reduce opportunity for crime.
And I think you guys are both very genuine and very sincere, but there's an old saying that says the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? And so all I'm asking is, did you guys get permission from the property owner to come on private property? Because you're not allowed to be on private property snooping in people's vehicles, right? Are you Are you checking to see if the vehicles are unlocked? You're going around trying to check people's doors to see if their vehicles are unlocked?
Well, we're looking to see if they're locked, if they are locked or not.
It's a visual check.
Right.
Generally, we can see the things up or see the red thing inside the car, and then we'll run the tag.
If I went to the police station, right, and started looking in police vehicles, right, you guys would probably consider that suspicious activity.
Right, absolutely. But here again, just like I said, now, so if it wasn't somebody in uniform who was actually doing the job of crime prevention and job of public safety, that's very suspicious. And listen, if I'm a concerned citizen, I'm happy. I'd be making that call anyway, and maybe I'd be happy to come out as a supervisor and answer all questions about what we're doing and why.
So when a private citizen goes on public property and looks inside a public vehicle,
I wasn't aware about the
that's
private
suspicious.
thing.
But when someone in uniform comes on private property and does it to private property, that's okay.
So, which private property
sounds a little
was it?
Dubious, right?
So which private property are we talking about here?
So these roads, these are publicly funded roads.
Right, absolutely.
The driveways are not publicly funded, right?
Did they
so
go up on any driveways?
Yes, they did. They were in the driveway. They were behind people's vehicles, and they were taking people's license plates down.
I think they thought that this is part of the like the apartment complexes. So if it is not, then for police officers, and I'm sure you're well aware, obviously we can go up onto a property just like a postman come to the front door, do that kind of thing. So if it's in the front of the house, we could certainly check it with no big deal.
Sure.
We would obviously always want to get our citizens' permission for going onto the property otherwise. So it sounds like maybe I just need to have a conversation.
And it's as long as there's no sign posted, it's technically not illegal to go on private property, right? But if you're asked to leave, you do have to leave.
Of course.
So yeah. So again, I think you guys are fully genuine and sincere in what you're doing out here.
Yes, sir.
I absolutely approve of, keeping the peace and making sure people's vehicles are locked. Once I saw her taking down people's license plate numbers.
I can understand the concern.
And then she said, well, we're just collecting your data.
And
I said, yeah, that's literally what I think is very disturbing to me.
So and what's your name, sir? I'm sorry.
It's
Mr. So this is nothing that's outside of what we're doing. So the actual way that we enter, and we've done this all over the city. We haven't just come here.
Yeah.
I
believe you. I believe you.
Yeah.
But just to show you, it's loading slow, but once it comes up, I'll just basically just kind of give you an idea.
The data we're collecting, what she means, it's internal for what we're doing. So you kind of said, do your bosses trust you? Well, yes, they trust us, of course, but we also want to show our work, and we want to show that we're being diligent. So I mean, basically, we can go back and say how many cars we've done today, this week, while we're working on this.
But isn't that the point of having the body cameras rolling? You can see the officers walking up to the vehicles.
But that doesn't give you a count. That doesn't show you how productive you're being. So this goes to be able to, for my supervisor, say, hey, I could show you what we're doing out here, and also to the public, we can show back to our citizens that we're out here and this is the kind of work we're doing. On top of all the officers and what they do all the time as far as patrol functions and responding to calls and things like that.
So I mean, there's a lot of reasons to do things, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are good for the general public, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot. This is a personal question, right? Mm-hmm. Are you pro Second Amendment or are you against the Second Amendment?
Personally, of course.
Right, of course, right? But there's a lot of very good arguments for why we should disarm the citizenry and take away all their weapons. Mm. But I find those arguments dubious, right? Because again, I think that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? There's people who have good intentions, but ultimately, do you really want a government who has a monopoly on violence? And again, I think you guys are doing the right thing out here, but I would I would severely push back on this idea of going around collecting data on your citizenry. I find that to be a very slippery slope. I find that. Have you ever read any George Orwell? It's terrifying.
Well,
right?
this is what we have. Okay. It's not that we're.
So here's the database.
So this is what's called a smart sheet.
Okay.
We have locations we go to and just tags. We're not putting in anybody's names or anything. All we're doing is the car locked or valuable to the site?
Yeah, but you can run people's plates and find their information, right? Mm-hmm. Do you guys do this on like actual homes, or you guys do this exclusively around apartment complexes?
Oh, we're doing this basically, and like you were saying.
So you're walking up on people's property in their driveway?
No. So we are limiting this completely to the public roadway.
So here's how the system could be abused, right? I do door-to-door canvassing for a living, right? When you go to apartment complexes, oftentimes you can pull up, there's public data, you can pull up where people live, right? But oftentimes with apartment complexes, you'll have like 4 different names and none of those people live there anymore. Right? And so what this feels like to me is, hey, let's go around, let's figure out where the cars are parked. We can pull their license plate data. We can figure out where people are live, and we can have an active database of exactly where everyone lives. You don't see how that data could be abused?
Well, we're not running every tag. Only if a vehicle's unlocked.
Yeah, but you got a list. You don't have to run it right now. You can run it a year from now. You can run it a week from now. You can run it 5 minutes from now. You don't need to run it on the spot.
Yes, sir.
You have a database that says these cars are parked at these locations, and then you can figure out who lives where. That's kind of creepy to me.
Yes, sir. Well, that's not what the purpose of our database is, or our list of vehicles.
I understand that's what you've been told.
Do
people always tell the truth? Do people in positions of authority always tell the truth, or do they manipulate people to abuse their authority?
Well, I'll say this: everybody has an opportunity to be untruthful if they choose to.
Yeah.
But that's an individual choice.
Yeah.
But the other premise that I wanted to speak on to our database, it helps our investigators. If we have property crimes investigators.
Yeah.
So let's just say we have a car that is broken into.
Right.
Let's just say we come in contact with a car today that we've documented, and then we get a crime reported, and they come out and follow up on it. Let's say we recorded what was in that car or saw the state that it was in. If they come in contact, the victim comes in contact with that detective, and they say, well, I don't really remember what was in that car. I don't remember if I locked it. I don't remember this or that.
Yeah.
We've come in contact with that car and have our own recollection and documentation. Yeah, the car was locked. No, it didn't have anything visible in sight. No, it doesn't seem like this is something that would have been attractive for somebody to try to break into. So that's really what we're trying to do on the back end.
And I appreciate the optimism. I think my ultimate point, and I'll let you guys go because I know you guys have a job to do, but I guess my ultimate point is knowledge is power.
Yep.
Right? And power can be used for good, right? You guys are saying it's going to be used for good, and I'm saying power can also be used for evil, right? And knowledge is power, and you guys are giving whatever, and maybe right now it's used for good, right? But maybe in 6 months things change, and they do something creepy with it,
what
right?
you're doing is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Because here's the this is great First Amendment stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly kind of proud to see you out here doing it. Because at the end of the day, the power resides with the people. And that if you as a concerned citizen feel that the police or that the government are not representing you properly, you have a right to.
And I'm not inherently saying that either.
Yeah.
I'm not inherently saying that.
But
I'm just saying what if. Right?
And listen, I appreciate the questions, and hope we'll be able to answer your questions well for you today.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys.
Hey man, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Listen,
of course.
I'll give you my business card.
Yeah.
If you ever have any kind of questions or concerns, I'm always happy to answer.
And also, I see you have a smartphone. We have an app that you can send in information and questions. You can have a direct portal to our internal affairs.
Okay.
If you have a compliment or complaint, you can send it to them and our professional standards. And if there's something that you'd like us to correct or maybe change what we're doing, they can facilitate and answer those questions.
Yeah. So how would I do a FOIA request to get a copy of that data that you guys are collecting?
Sure. I mean, you could do an open records.
Should be open records through headquarters.
Is that the one on Abercrombie?
That's the landmark.
And they can email us, and we can get it for you if you really need it.
I appreciate you guys.
The app, it looks just like that. It's free now on you can get it from either Google or Apple. But basically on here too, we have directly for internal affairs, online reporting. You can put that there. We have a citizen survey, so we want to hear your voice and hear back from you, how we can always improve. And this is also something called Eyes and Ears. So for trying to meet people where they're at, if they just want to do an anonymous tip, they can do that.
Okay.
If you would like to talk to someone, you can put your information in. Just put in here too that I'd like to have somebody call me back about whatever the issue may be, and somebody from command staff.
311 is in there too. So if you
Okay.
got a street light out, you got trash not getting picked up on time, you can put all that stuff in there.
Yeah, ultimately, here's the thing. We are your police department,
Yeah.
and we are much more effective in making your neighborhoods and making y'all safer if we work together. So, I mean, that's
awesome.
what we try to do.
Awesome.
So,
Well, I appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Stay safe.
And listen, I'm going to talk to them again, because we do not normally walk up on private property, you know, and you just make sure that there's
and
clear
it's just
understanding.
distinguishing that, because out here with it being an apartment complex, you know, it could easily be misconstrued what's considered private, what isn't. Obviously, private parking would be back there.
Yeah, so typically I think that would be the main thing, is like you'll see there's signs that say private parking. That's a big indicator that's private property right there when you see those private parking signs. So okay, well, I apologize looking a little disheveled here today, but really I'm just making this video to kind of debrief on this whole Fourth Amendment violation that happened with the Savannah Police Department. In the video, I think I've never really done this before, confronted police officers and filmed it and all that kind of stuff. So I think in the video I was way too generous. Literally the first thing that I believe sergeant said to me was that, oh, we're not taking down the location. And then literally his corporal, like less than 30 seconds later, said, oh yeah, we've got all your information, including your location, so that we can come back if a crime happened. And then they made all this justification for essentially like pre-crime or sort of like aiding their investigations, but then they didn't really justify how any of that really aids in their investigation. So like, okay, I verified that your car was locked and then your car got broken into. Okay, how does that help you catch the guy? Oh, I verified your car was unlocked and then your car got broken into, so now we can just wash our hands of it and say, oh, we actually don't need to do this because this is your fault. So all of their explanations were highly suspicious. And then they lied to me several times. They said they were only doing it on public roadways. They were not. And then his justification was, well, we're allowed to come and approach the front of your house, but they were in the back of the building on private property collecting people's data. And then at the end they go, oh, well, if you have any more questions, you can download our app. And it's like, oh, your app whose terms of service I'm going to assume include something that say, oh, we're allowed to collect your geolocation data or something like that. So basically they're like, hey, why don't you go ahead and cut out the middleman? Instead of us violating your Fourth Amendment and snooping on private property and mass collecting your data, why don't you go ahead and download our app so that we can just cut out the middleman and we can do it that way. So now reviewing this footage is actually even more dubious now, because when you're having a live conversation with someone, you don't necessarily catch all those inconsistencies. But now, having rewatched it a couple of times, there's so many inconsistencies in what they're saying. And then even at the end, he does this disingenuous, like, oh, I'm so proud of you and your First Amendment auditing. And I'm like, this is not a First Amendment audit. This is me documenting a Fourth Amendment violation, that my civil liberties and the civil liberties of my neighbors were violated by police officers who claim they're doing things for the, let's say, greater good or whatever, but and then actually lied to me, I think at least twice in there. They lied to me about all this. So again, I got my scraggly neck beard going on today, but I'm just sitting here editing this video and I realize I don't think I could really upload this without adding a sort of, like I said, debrief, because I think there's a lot there. I'm really curious to hear what y'all think about this. Anyone with any sort of legal background, is this count as a Fourth Amendment violation, as my assertion would be? Or is this a little bit more benign and I'm kind of taking it a little too far? I really don't know. My gut instinct says, yeah, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing was wrong. And this is part of the surveillance state that we're all living in, that our government is allowed to spy on us. And they have full indemnity because they are the watchmen. So who watches the watchmen? That's what I'm saying. I guess that's what I was attempting to do. Even though I did it poorly. And feel free to roast me if you think I was too nice.
because I think in hindsight I was way too nice to these guys. I was really not trying to create any sort of conflict or anything like that. But I clearly caught them lying to me several times. Not that that's illegal, but clearly in hindsight now it's pretty obvious that they knew what they were doing, and they were trying to justify it and be kind of deceptive with their justifications. So leave your comments down below, and I'm curious to I'm actually going to contact some civil rights lawyers and see about getting some advice in relationship to this case, because this isn't one of those civil rights violations where it's, you know, a bad egg kind of thing acting on their own and getting carried away in the heat of the moment. This is something that is systematically happening, and he even says in the video, "Oh, we've done this all over the city." And I said, "Oh, I believe you." And when I said that, I didn't mean like, "Oh, I trust you." I meant that as, "Oh no, I believe that you're mass collecting data all over the city." Yes, I believe that. So they openly admitted to doing that. And then he even said they weren't doing it at private residences. He said, "Oh no, we thought all this was part of the apartment complex." Yeah, it is, but all that's still private property. And I even say at the end of the video, I go, "Yeah, well, you see those signs that say private parking? That's a good sign that you're on private property when you see those signs that say private parking." And he clearly didn't. You could see the look on his face. Sergeant clearly didn't like that I called him out on that. So yeah, leave your comments below. I'm really curious to see what the general public thinks about this. If you live in Georgia or you live in Savannah specifically, I'm extra interested in hearing your opinion.